Welcome to the Empowered Life. I am your friend, Ern Inyon. This podcast aims to inspire you to create the life that you want to live. If you are not yet a subscriber, be sure to subscribe and get notified when a new episode is posted. Now let's go on with the show. Hi everyone, it's good to be back and doing this again. I had to take a break and study for a certification exam that I have been postponing for quite some time. It's the Project Management Professional, or the PMP exam for those practicing project management. I am glad that I was able to pass it. I will be sharing to you bits and pieces of project management over the course of this podcast. Okay, so enough with the excuses. In this episode, I want to talk about why there are wars. So today we still have that war in Ukraine that has been going on for the past 2 years. We have another ongoing war in Israel. We have so many pocket wars since the last World War in 1942 to 1945, if I'm not mistaken. We had that Korean War, there's that Vietnam War, Afghanistan, and so on. But it is not about the wars that happened the last century that we're talking about. We have been fighting for centuries, even as old as the Bible was written. So for me, in every war, there are no winners. Every war is a losing proposition, because winning means the death of your opponent. If you look at the anatomy of war, each side is just fighting for whatever they believe in, an ideology or belief. Each camp believes they are right and the opponent is wrong. So we insist on our belief, and if the other side doesn't agree, war breaks out. So the question is, why there are wars? So let's go back to the very beginning, that it is in our nature to desire to grow. That desire is the foundation of life, meaning we couldn't have grown from a single cell organism to this complex piece of life if there is no desire to grow. When we say desire to grow, we mean to take action. In other words, it is within your control. But before taking action on something, we first become aware. Okay, so think in terms of circles. Awareness is a bigger circle than what you can act upon. Awareness precedes growth. So you can't grow in any area if you're not aware of it. But there's a bigger circle than awareness, and that is responsibility. And I believe this is where the problem lies. Many times we equate responsibility to action, or things we can only act on. We need to understand that responsibility is responsibility, or our ability to respond. To respond is not equal to act. There are several ways to respond. You can understand, sympathize, think, act, and so on. Our action will always be limited, but our ability to respond is limitless. Why is this so important we understand this? On March 13, 1964, Kitty Genovis, a 28-year-old bartender, was walking to her apartment at 3 a.m. at Queens, New York. While she was walking, a black man followed her. He ran after her while she was screaming for help. Finally, he caught her, then raped and stabbed her several times in front of her apartment building. Kitty got loose for a while and continued screaming for help. The murderer got hold of her again and continued raping her and stabbing her more until she died. The whole drama lasted for 30 minutes, and 38 people witnessed the crime. What made this a celebrated case was because None of the 38 witnesses called the police. The murderer got away. It was only a few days he was caught after he confessed about the crime. It was a horrible crime. And because of this case, the US created the 911 emergency hotline all over the country. Another example is the Pulitzer Prize winner photograph entitled The Vulture and the Little Girl. In March 1993, photographer Kevin Carter went to Sudan to take pictures about the famine that hit the region. He was able to take a picture of a little girl who was on her way to a food station. The picture shows the little girl was so famished and can hardly move, while a vulture was waiting a couple of meters behind, waiting for the girl to die. When the photograph was released, many questioned Kevin for having the time to take picture, but had no time to rescue the girl. Because of so much pressure from the public, 2 months after winning the Pulitzer Prize, Kevin Carter took his own life. The main reason why there are wars is because we believe our responsibility is limited. By thinking that our responsibility is limited, we just accept that other lives are okay to die, but not ours. Other countries can experience famine, but not our country. So hearing these two cases make us cringe, and the reason why we cringe is because somehow deep within us we are all interconnected. We feel that we are responsible. By limiting our sense of responsibility, we are becoming bystanders. We become mere spectators instead of getting involved. And look at what we have become. A couple of weeks ago, my wife and I watched Oppenheimer, the movie, starring Cillian Murphy, Robert Downey Jr., and several Hollywood stars on Apple TV. The movie was about Robert Oppenheimer, the physicist who led the Manhattan Project that created the first atomic bomb. It was a collection of the best minds in science that made the first atomic bomb. Well, technologically speaking, it was a masterpiece. But what is the damn bomb for? Germany had to thank Hitler for surrendering on time, because if he did not, that bomb could have been dropped at Berlin. Poor Japan didn't know what was coming. For me, dropping the bomb was unnecessary, especially the second bomb. It was just 3 days after the first bomb was dropped at Hiroshima. At that time, well, Germany already surrendered. So if the intention was for Japan to surrender, I don't think 3 days was enough to say the least. Uh, and because of the bomb, have 140,000 civilians died, and thousands more died after because of radiation. What is worrying now is that countries have been making nuclear bombs by the thousands that are 1,000 times more powerful than the first atomic bomb. You know, if some asteroid will hit us, or one giant solar eruption and wipes out all humanity, that is something we can accept because there is really nothing we can do about it. But if humanity will be wiped out because of nuclear war, that is just pure stupidity, isn't it? Regardless which country is right, who cares? Everyone is dead. In the last World War, for me, no one won. Everyone lost. How can someone declare victory after killing millions of people? In the last World War, there were approximately 75 million died. 40 million were civilians. So knowing that we all live in this little blue planet, it is really petty. The worst that is happening to us is believing that some alien or God will save our world from destruction. We are inhabitants of this world. No one else will save this world except us. But since our responsibility is limited, we think world leaders are responsible. Organizations like United Nations or WHO and other foundations that are into environment preservation are responsible. All of us are responsible. We need to do our share. I mean, simple things like segregating trash, bring eco bags when you do your grocery, support those environmental efforts, or at the very least, pray. As a project manager, it is important for me that what is the objective of the projects that I'm working on. I don't want to be a part of a project that destroys our planet and people. Whatever you are doing, whether you are in business or working in a grocery store, we need to be aware of where you put your time and effort. Work is important because it puts food on the table. But that cannot be only the reason. We have to consider also to what are we contributing to. Oppenheimer knew that they were building a bomb to end the war. But in the process, they created something that can potentially wipe out the entire human race. We have to come to our senses. We need more sensible leaders. We have to say no to war in whatever size or form. We are responsible to everything. Our responsibility is limitless. We just need to continually expand our awareness and increase our capacity to act. One time I was looking at a picture of our solar system. There I can see the big planets like Jupiter and Saturn. And out from this dark space, there is this little blue planet. When I zoomed the picture, gosh, it's so beautiful. So if you look from the outer space, this little planet is heaven. Thank you so much for listening, friends. Please rate and review this podcast and share it to your friends. Until next time, blessings always.